For learning Java, सब्सक्राइब दिस चैनल। जावा सीखने के लिए इस चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कीजिए।
Types of variables. This is our today's topic name. So, first we should know what is variable. As we know, it is a named memory location which is used to store the data in a Java program, and it acts as a container that holds the values which can be accessed, modified, and manipulated during the execution of the program. And every variable in the Java has a specific data type which determines the type of value it can store, such as integer, decimal numbers, characters, or text. So, based on where they are declared, I mean variables, and how they are used, Java variables are classified into three types. Those are instance variable, static variable, local variable. Let's first discuss about instance variable. So, it is a variable that is declared inside a class but outside all methods, constructors, and blocks without using the static keyword. And we should know whenever an object is created, Java creates a separate copy of every instance variable for that object. Therefore, each object stores its own data independently and modifying the values of one object does not affect the values of another object because of this. Apart from that, instance variables are commonly used to present the properties and state of an object. For example, just assume in a student class, variable names such as name, roll number, and age are instance variable because every student has different information. And so, as you can see there, I explained that part. Now, let's move to next point. So, Java automatically assigns default values if an instance variable is not initialized. For example, 0 for numeric types, false for boolean, and null for object references. Apart from that, instance variables are stored in a heap memory because they are part of an object. Now here you can see the syntax of instance variable. Here class is a keyword which is used to declare a class, and if we talk about class name, it is the name of the class. And here data type specifies the type of data the variable can store, such as int, double char, or string. And the variable name, it is the name that assigned to the instance variable. So now we will see its program as an example of this variable. So let's start. So in this program, student class contains two instance variable, name and age, and two objects s1 and s2 are created using the new keyword. Since instance variable belongs to the objects, each object here receive its own separate copy of these variables. So here we can see that in this code we are assigning the values to first object and second object, and after that when the program is executed, each object display its own values. This demonstrates that instance variables stores data independently for every object. Now let's move to static variable. So a static variable, also known as a class variable, and it is a variable that is declared inside a class but outside all methods, constructors, and block using the static keyword. Remember that. And unlike an instance variable, a static variable belongs to the class itself rather than to individual objects. This is the difference I was talking about earlier. So this means that only one copy of a static variable is created in memory regardless of how many object classes are created. So we know here all the objects of the class share the same static variable. So any modifications made to its values reflected in every object. And we should also know static variables are commonly used to store the data that is common to all objects, such as the name of a company, college, bank, country, or the total number of objects created, etc. Now, we should know more points about static variable, such as if we say in simple words, in this only one copy of static variable is created and it is shared by all objects of the class. And as I said earlier, any change made to the static variable is very visible to every object because they all access the same memory location. Apart from that, static variables are generally accessed using the class name instead of an object because they belongs to the class. And here Java automatically assigns the default values to the static variables if they are not explicitly initialized. So now let's talk about its syntax. As we know, class is a keyword which is used to declare a class, and class name here represents the name of the class, and static keyword is a keyword that indicates that the variable belongs to the class, this keyword. And if we talk about here data type, so sorry, this keyword, and if we talk about data type, it specifies the type of value that the variable can store. Next is variable name. It is the name that assigns to the static variable. So let's see its program as example to understand this topic more clearly. So in this, name is an instance variable, and while the college is declared as a static variable. And here two objects s1 and s2 are created from the student class. You can see that. And each object stores a different value of the name variable because it is an instance variable. However, both objects share the same value of college. Here, as I said about sharing in a static variable. So after that, we assign different values in this. So for displaying the student information, or we can say that here static variable is accessed using the student.college. We have to write that, and this is the recommended approach because it clearly indicates that the variable belongs to the class rather than to a specific object like we saw in instance variable. And since there is only one copy of the static variable, both students display the same college name, so output will also be same. And before discussing the local variable, if we talk about static variable advantages, so we can say that it saves the memory because only one copy is created and shared by all objects, and it is useful for storing informations that is common to every object of a class. Apart from that, static variable can be accessed without creating an object by using the class name, and they also improve the code organization by keeping the common data at the class level instead of duplicating it for every object. So these are some its advantages. Now let's discuss about local variable. So guys, as you can see there, a local variable is a variable that is declared inside a method, constructor or block, and it is called a local variable because it can be accessed only within the method or block in which it is declared. And so you can see it as a difference also. If you want to make a column of want to make a three columns of differences, like a difference between instance, static and local variable, you can do like that for short notes. So let's discuss further. And we should know one thing also: local variables are mainly used to store the temporary data that is required only during the execution of a particular method. And once the method finishes the execution, the local variable is automatically destroyed and its memory is leased. And unlike instance and static variables, a local variable does not belong to an object or to the class. It exists only while the method or block is executing, as I said earlier. So you should know that also local variables are mainly used to store temporary data that is required only during the execution of the particular method. I explained that earlier, so I think I don't need to explain it again. So let's move to next point. Unlike instance and static variables, Java does not assign the default values to local variables. Therefore, a local variable must be initialized before it is used, otherwise the program will produce a compile time error. Remember that. And local variables are stored in a stack memory, which makes them faster to create and destroy. Or you can just see this line, which helps in making them faster to create and destroy. Now let's discuss about its syntax. So as you know, in this syntax, class is a keyword which is used to declare a class. Class name is the name of the class. And again, here you can see this is new for you. Void method name. It represents the method in which the local variable is declared. Here in program also you can see that. So after that you will see data type. As you know, it specifies the type of data that the variable can store. And next is variable name. It is the name of the local variable. And next is value. It is the initial value that assigned to the variable. So now let's talk about the program. In this program, the variable number is declared inside the display method. In this, makes it a local variable, and since it is a local to the method, it can be accessed only within the display method. Apart from that, before using the variable, it is initialized with the value 80, and when the display method is called, the value of the local variable is printed with this code. So, and after the method finishes its execution, the local variable is destroyed automatically and its memory is leased, that I said earlier also. And apart from these examples, there are some advantages of local variable. You should know about that also. Like I already told you, they are useful for storing the temporary data which required during the method execution, and they also help in reducing the memory usage because they exist only while the method is running. After that, we can say that they improve the program readability by limiting the scope of variable to the methods where they are needed. And since they are accessible only within their own method or block, they help in preventing accidental modifications from other parts of the program. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening to me.